So finding that balance, even within our posture of effort, of maintaining a very present, regal, alert posture, but also inviting a gentle release through the entire body. So a settling in, maybe noticing some areas of the body that might be holding some tension, inviting a release. And we can only extend the invitation. If the body still holds some tension, it's an opportunity to develop some equanimity, some allowing for that to be just as it is. So feel out practice, feel out flow. For this meditation, we're going to narrow our focus range to sensations in the body that are not related, to the best we can guess, not related to our emotional state. So if you're feeling comfortable closing the eyes, if they're not already closed, you could do so just to help us keep our focus inward. So the body sensations we're interested in connecting with are ones such as a feeling of heat in part to the body or coolness, pressures from maybe where our body is making contact with the support of our seat. It might be sensations of itching, tingling, maybe some discomforts in part of the body. Could even be a feeling of fullness or of hunger. It could be the sensations that are related to the breath. And we're going to look for a particular quality of these sensations. And that is any way in which there is a change happening as we're observing here in real time, moment to moment. So you may detect a movement within the sensation. It could be a little vibration or bubbling. Could be waves moving through. Could be it's expanding in size and how much space it's taking up in the body. Could be shrinking in size. Could be getting more intense or less intense. So during this practice, what we can do is open our attention to the sensations in the body and then letting the attention land, if it wants to, on a particular sensation. So kind of zooming in on a particular area of the body. Perhaps there's a sensation kind of tugging at your attention. And we would let the attention land there and just hang out. Just really soaking in the experience of that sensation, but in particular, noticing what changes are occurring moment to moment. We could also zoom out and take in a larger area of the body, maybe even the entire body, and detect movement or change that are happening more globally. So after we've kind of hung out with a particular experience or sensation for a time, you decide how long, it could be 5 seconds, 10, 20. We could release the attention again, let it be free and open, and let it land again. And it might return to the same sensation. It might move to a different area of the body, might zoom out, it might zoom in. And when the attention lands, we have the option to use a label. In this particular practice, the label would be flow if we're contacting the changing or moving aspects of our sensory experience. So you could note that we're using that particular quality as the object of our meditation. And see if you can penetrate that sensation with a great deal of sensory clarity, really becoming aware of its subtler and subtler qualities. You might even notice within one sensation that there's more than one aspect of flow happening. Perhaps as you're observing, the sensation is kind of growing in size, but at the same time, lessening in intensity. So, using the label flow every time the attention lands can be a really helpful tool to use as we practice if the mind is really strong and kind of pulling our attention out of the somatic experience in the body into thinking space. If there's a strong distraction in the space around you, maybe auditory space, or perhaps in the emotional space. If there's a strong emotion present, it might be pulling at our attention. So using a label either silently in your mind, flow, can really go a long way to help us stay on track. Hold our attention with that feel space and let everything else be in the background. Nothing needs to stop. Nothing needs to be different. Allowing everything to be just as it is. And in this moment, we're choosing to focus on the quality of change in our body sensations. And if we're finding it a little challenging to connect with flow, we can always find it in the experience of the breath. There's a gradual building of pressure in the body, and then a gentle release of that pressure with each inhalation and exhalation. There's likely a sensation at the nostrils of air traveling into the body, perhaps noticing the temperature of that air, and maybe detecting a change in the temperature with the air that exits the body at the nostrils. Labeling that as flow. And it's really important as we practice that we try to drop the mind's narrative, the mind's ideas around why these sensations are present, what they mean, whether or not they're pleasant or unpleasant is really not of concern to us. So we need to do our best to drop any story around these sensations, any history, just doing our best to imagine that this is the very first time we've experienced these sensations. What can we learn about how they change, the constant changing aspect? Even the experience of feeling tired, we can connect with in the feel space. Maybe notice sensations in the face, noticing how they're changing. So, flow is not a special state, it's an absolutely ordinary sensation that we just bring a special attention to. We bring an openness to it, a friendliness. We drop our concepts around them, these sensations. Beginner's mind. If sensations want to grow in intensity, we do our best to allow, to say yes, even if it's unpleasant. If our experience grows too intense, we always have the option to turn away, to turn our attention away from an intense sensation and perhaps anchor out somewhere more neutral. We could anchor our attention to a part of the body that feels fairly neutral, maybe the feet or the hands. We could anchor our attention to sounds in the environment or sights, could allow the eyes to open. Because sometimes when we move into connecting with flow, it can open up a lot of energy. See if you can ride that wave that happens for you. Use the label flow. Shinzen sometimes uses the analogy of getting a deep massage in relation to this flow practice. When we bring attention to what might feel like very solid and rigid sensations in the body, when we bring this particular attention to them, they can soften, kind of break down, kind of transition from a solid particle experience of the sensation to a more wave like. You can enjoy connecting with the kind of pranic or energetic or fluid aspect of physical sensation. If you notice tension leaving the body, that's flow, change of sensation. You notice a feeling of lightness arising or fullness, any change is flow, size, shape. It may be throbbing or undulating. That's movement, bubbling or tingling, spreading, shrinking. And these qualities may be very subtle. So, developing our concentration, our sensory clarity by really focusing all of our attention, becoming very disinterested with everything else just for this time during this practice. Being very open and curious. I wonder what will happen next. No expectation. Allow yourself to be surprised. Don't assume anything. We can start dropping discrimination of the mind. If, for example, I feel a pain in my knee and I start to focus on the moving or changing aspects of that sensation, perhaps at a point I can drop the label of pain, just experience different qualities of sensation and change. And the closer I get to it, the more I can get inside of these sensations. Perhaps even the idea of knee falls away. Perhaps if I can dissolve completely into it, the idea of me falls away. There's just the experience of flow. When the mind wanders, which it will, just gently bring it back, detecting and hanging out with the experience of flow in the body, knowing that not only is this a practice that helps us to have a complete experience with our body sensations in a way that can greatly reduce suffering, profoundly change our relationship to the body feel space in a way that can deeply enhance our positive body sensations, but also develop equanimity with challenging body sensations. But this practice can go a long way to help prepare us for the letting go that will ultimately need to happen if we're willing to move beyond the illusion of a solid separate self. This is the experience of a fluid, impermanent experience. A fluid, impermanent being. Okay, so we're going to bring this practice to a close. I'm sorry I don't have a beautiful gong or bell to ring, so just imagine there's a lovely singing bowl resonating to bring the practice to a close. I won't do my impersonation of a singing bowl. And let me stop the recording.